Hello. So just a very short video I wanted to record, having just come back from holiday, where I've nearly finished a book. And on the theme of books, it got me thinking. In my career so far, there's been so many what I would call self-help books. I hate that term, but it's a bit of a catch-all for these books that are written by people who very often I have no idea who they are. They sort of sit in some scientific institute somewhere just churning out all of this stuff. We never really know what their identity is, and they come up with these books on how to be a better manager, how to improve your personality traits or your characteristics, or to work harder or more effectively, or whatever it happens to be. I hate those books. I've had to read many of them. They're almost always very dull, turgid. They don't really tell me anything. They feel very invented, very sort of engineered and manufactured. They don't feel particularly real. So just holding that thought there for a moment, I have been reading this, which is Will Carling's autobiography. Will Carling, ex-England rugby union captain. You may have heard of him, or if you're not into rugby or same age as I am, maybe not, but he was England captain from the late 80s through to about the mid 90s. He became captain at a very young age. The sport was amateur when he first became captain, which is to say that the rugby union guys all had jobs, and rugby was an addition that they weren't paid for. That changed throughout the course of his tenure, but that made his story quite interesting. The team became very successful under him. They won several Grand Slams, and they got to the semi-final of the World Cup one year, and then the final, I think in around about 91, something like that. So they did well, and he certainly elevated the team to another level. But also, they had huge character. It was a side of great characters at the time. So anyway, I'm not going to go too much more into the rugby because it's quite niche and my own interest. But the point is this: when you read this book, it's very, very honest. At times, possibly too honest. It goes into his professional career, it goes into his background, his childhood, his relationships, his successes, his failures. It talks about certain things which at the time people were aware of, certain conflicts, certain challenges, specific matches, how he prepared for them, what he got right, more importantly, what he got wrong as well, how he addressed things. And I suppose during the course of reading this, it was fascinating just to get a real life perspective. This is somebody who was living and breathing this whole thing. He didn't come up with a title here like Will Carling 12 Steps to Success or some nonsense like that. It's just called Will Carling, My Autobiography. And it's far from perfect, I would say, but it's really, really interesting. Firstly, it's interesting to me. I'm interested in rugby. I remember watching him and the teams that he was part of. But I'm also interested in reading proper real-life stories. And it got me thinking, going back to this thing about some of these books that people get asked to buy and read in their workplace or during school or college, because it's thought that this will help them improve themselves. I mean, maybe they work for some people, but I think that there is 100 times more value in a real book like this. And of course, I'm not telling you to go out and buy Will Carling's autobiography, because that would be pointless unless you've got some sort of interest in him. The point is that there will be sports people or a sports person, actor, musician, band, celebrity, politician perhaps, someone whose life story or part of their life story might interest you, and it would be very worthwhile, I should say, going and picking up a copy of their book, or perhaps if they've shared some things in a podcast or something on YouTube, or do you know what, it might even be that there's somebody in real life, a friend, a parent, a grandparent, an uncle, or something like that, somebody who's got a different, interesting perspective, and you can just listen to them. listen to their story, hear them talk, absorb it, because you know you're going to be interested in the subject matter. And in the course of doing that, you will probably find, as I've done with this, that there's a whole load of things that you can take. I've spent a couple of weeks on holiday reading this and then just putting it down from time to time and thinking, yeah, that would be interesting. That's a bit like that challenge I had. Even though, you know, I've never worked as a professional sports person, you can still take those lessons and things and apply them to your own life. So I wanted to share that as a little bit of free advice, really, and something that I've picked up. Ditch the self-help things and just go for something that's meaningful for you. You'll get so much from it. And I'm going to go and finish this off now. So hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be back with another video soon.